to our today's discussion, and in our discussion we're talking about a book called The Imprisonment of Obatala. Now this book was written by Obotunde Njimere. He's a Nigerian writer, and one of the interesting things that which we see in this book is how he brings out the elements that are so cardinal to human life, and in using a play as a tool to derive or to push in the ideas that he wishes to share with us, he begins to portray a nice picture of how the whole story comes out, of course, to bring out many of the themes. This book has a number of themes, but I've chosen to discuss 6 themes, and one of them is the theme of pride, the theme of love, the theme of self-discovery, the theme of loneliness, poverty, and religiosity. So those are some of the themes that which I'll begin to talk about in this book. Now you begin to understand so well, if you have had a peeping into the book, that this book is a play, and this play is based on the Yoruba mythologies or Yoruba stories of creation. Now Obatala is a very good friend of Shango, and both of whom are kings. This is how this book is set up, that both of whom are kings and they are very good friends. However, 10 years or so has passed, they have not seen each other from the time that they have negotiated for the creation of the world, which was void, which did not have anything in it. And when they went, of course, to seek for the God of life, we see that Obatala is given, to get a hen and some sand. So as he goes, to create a world, he begins to pour the sand when much of the thriving failed to make or to create the earth, because it was void and nothing was there. So he threw some sand as per advised by the king of life. When he throws some sand, he also let the chicken go there and began, to scatter the sand. Wherever the sand went, then that became dry land, and there was life there, and the things began to form up in that vein. So the play explores the philosophy of Yoruba Orisha worship. In the mythologies of this play, it begins to explore the philosophy of the Yoruba Orisha worship. Now, what are the type of characters that which we see in this book? Some of them are Obatala, who is the king of Ife and the creation. And we also see Yemanja, who is his wife. We also begin to see Shango, the king of Oyo and the god of the thunder. He's a very powerful god who scares, when you begin to think about him and you read about the text. And also we see Oya, who is Shango's wife. We see Eshu, the confuser of men, who is a god of the fate. Okay? So in this vein, we begin to see him as the god of the fate. We also see Ogan, the god of war, and the Babayao, who is an oracle spirit. And some of the characters that we see also are people such as the farmer, the servant of Shango, and the women. Those are the characters that which we begin to see in this play. Now, much of the exploration of the themes that which we see in this play, such as maybe we begin to look at the theme of pride. How is pride being exhibited, or how is pride being portrayed in this book? We see that the assurance, or the giving out, or the dishing out of some of the phraseologies, such as those that were issued by Obatala, Shango, farmers, women, and many more of the characters. Some of them, for example, Obatala, it is said that in showing, of course, a love of power, how does he portray pride? One of the things that which we see is that you have the power to love and turn a wise man into a fool. Okay? That's the level of pride. How can a man, of course, who has the power to love, turn a wise man into a fool? You cause the newly wedded man to lose his manners, or you turn the newly wedded wife to lose her manners. Okay? We also see that Shango is a spirit of fire. We also see that he shaves his children with lightning, and also baths his children with spit, or even when there's enough water. Some of these phrases, when you begin to analyze them, you see a lot of pride in them. How can someone shave the children with lightning? And how can someone bath his children in his spittle, even when there's enough water? Okay? Obatala, of course, talks about Shango. He says that Shango darts fire from his eyes. Who on earth anyway would ever dart out fire from his or her eyes? We also see in the case of Eshu, who is a confuser of men, who throws a stone of today and kills a bird of yesterday. Now you begin to see here that that is a power of divinity, where you have the ability to walk in the past and behave in the past even for today, or you live in today and still walk back again in the past. Okay. Let me also begin to look at the theme of loneliness. You see, loneliness in life is one of the elements that must be avoided in human life, especially in the life of people that are in a relationship or marriage. Because loneliness, of course, may make someone be desperate. And the desperate people are willing to do desperate things. So beware with loneliness, because a lonely person is a desperate person. And the desperate person is desperate to do anything that they would wish to do in life. And loneliness is not real, as it is based on emotions. Okay? Now, emotionalism should never be trusted. Any person that is highly emotional must be watched with carefulness, because emotionalism has a limit in life. Okay? After all the emotions are gone, people are needed to come back to their senses and begin to think. So emotions are not right. Obatala was imprisoned. Okay? Why? He was a lonely man, and he wished to go and see the friend Shango. And the wife warned him that this man that you are going to see is a fierce man. You know how he thunders. You know how he issues out lightning. You know how anyway he displays his powers so fierce, so much that you should not visit him. But he objected and said that a friend, even when you get 1,000 needles and sell them, they cannot amount to the love that one has for a friend. So Obatala was imprisoned by Shango because of loneliness. As he headed in meeting Shango, the friend, okay, who he has not met for a long time, his white robe, because he apparelled himself in white robes. So the white robe that which he wore was soiled on the way traveling to see the friend. And of course, when Shango saw the team that which was coming, and his army went to meet them, they could not differentiate between the common man and the king, whereas his robes were soiled. So this is how Obatala was grabbed and locked up in the prisons because of loneliness. So loneliness is very deadly. We must never trust it. So as he headed, meeting the friend, his robes were soiled, and this is what makes him finally sleep in the prison, okay, even when he's a king. Let me explore the theme of love. Obatala is willing to take a risk. Why is he willing to take a risk? Because he loves. Where there's love, there's always risk-taking. And where there's risk-taking, there's always love. Okay? One who knows very well of how much love can cost is willing to go an extra mile. A person who understands love will be willing to sacrifice, even at the expense of losing their own name or reputation, that which they have. One who has love will even go an extra mile to choose to suffer together with a friend so that, they preserve what they have in common. But one, of course, who is willing to give up has not loved until they learn how to love. So Obatala, what we are seeing is that he is willing to take a risk of visiting Shango, even when he knows so well of how fierce the friend is and the risk of being imprisoned. But he did not fear about that. He was willing still to be imprisoned. We see also that love is risk-taking venture. Unless you are willing to take a risk, then you cannot love. Okay? Love will overlook, it will ignore, it will cherish whatever is available, and it will not wish for what it does not have. It will only live and develop and succeed within the confines of what it has. Love knows that a stranger today can be a friend tomorrow. That's how so critical love is. It knows and understands that one who is a stranger today can be a friend tomorrow. Okay? The theme of poverty. Poverty should not distort your perception of life. Neither should we distort my perception of life. We should know that poverty must elevate our thinking level from the shallow thinking to realistic thinking to a point where we begin to understand things. And also poverty must teach us wisdom, because more suffering, more knowledge, and more wisdom. But if poverty then begins to benumb our minds, and the poverty begins to rule our minds, that we even become desperate or maniacs of materialism, or we become desperate of acquiring, much wealth so that we make a name, then we are missing it, because it is said that men do not make history from the things that they are aware of. So if they did, then it would be like a science experiment which horribly went wrong. So there's no one who can ever make history from the things that they are aware of. It does not work like that. Poverty should teach us patience. It should teach us integrity. It should teach us wisdom. And above all, it must teach us long-suffering. And these are some of the lessons that which we can learn from this book. But I also love one thing, one phraseology that has been used in this book. Other than, that of Shangu, who's a confuser of men, we also see one of the phraseologies, that the hunter thinks that the monkey is not wise. Okay? But the monkey is wise. He has his own logic. It does not mean that when someone keeps quiet, he's a fool in life. Never. It does not also mean that when one is outspoken, then they are intelligent. Never. It does not also mean that when people are taking their time in understanding things and in weighing the advantages, that they are slow. They are just trying to use the experience that they have acquired in their lives to come closer to what is useful and that which can help them. You should know that also, if the hunter thinks that the monkey is not wise, that the monkey is wise and he has his own logic. Thank you so much for watching. Until we meet again when we issue out another video.